Hi everyone, I'm Chris and I'm here to take you through lesson 12 of the contact forces and computer science unit. I really love this lesson because not only does it give your students another opportunity to code, but it also provides a hands-on investigation where we're going to be learning a lot more about forces and kinetic energy. So let's start off with how we got here. In lesson 11, this is really our students' first opportunity to do some coding. And they figured out that they could be successful, using those force sensors and, giving instructions in the code to make the outputs that we want. So in this lesson, we're going to look at three specific different sensor systems and see if we can make code that would help us tell the difference between high energy and low energy collisions so that we can prevent damage from happening. So we're going to make a plan, we're going to design the code, we're going to test it out, and then we're eventually going to conduct an investigation about how we could lower the amount of kinetic energy in these collisions. All right, let's dig into the lesson. It's a 3-day lesson. It's going to take about 80 minutes of preparation. A lot of that is building those force sensor systems. They're going to do some coding on days 1 and 2, and then there's a stations lab about friction and air resistance that they're going to do on day 3 that you'll have to set up for as well. Because students are coding, it's going to need their devices, the USB cables so they can download the code. It's going to use the microbits and 3 different kinds of sensors: accelerometers, rotary sensors, and slide sensors. There's a whole slide deck in terms of how for you as a teacher to set up those 4 sensor systems. It takes a bit of time, and you want to make sure you understand how they're used in that slide deck. So make sure that you prepare some time to do that. Okay, this is a doozy of a lesson. It's 3 days. There's a lot going on, but we're going to divide it into 2 chunks. Chunk 1 is going to be days 1 and 2, mostly focuses on coding, and that leads us into chunk 3, which is chunk 2, which is day 3, which is mostly about those hands-on investigations. All right, here's the first chunk. So you're going to start off by revisiting lesson 11 and talking about what are some of the effective coding strategies that students came up with. And then you're going to, as a class, figure out that we really want to be able to use these sensor systems to sort collisions into high energy collisions and low energy collisions, so we can plan out how to prevent so much damage. In part 3, students do some brainstorming, so they figure out what kind of sensors do we even need to use, what are we going to think about while coding, what kind of outputs would we want to have, and in part 4, we come together as a class to define that together. In part 5, they start coding and basically wrap up for the day, and you come back on day 2. On day 2, we have a quick reminder of what the goals are, and then we jump right back into coding. Now, on day 2, specifically, we're looking at setting up and calibrating those force sensors. So how do we make sure that those conditionals are working, what kind of numbers are we using in them, and so on. We spend about 10 minutes testing it out in part 9. Part 10 is a little reflection. And then part 11, we start thinking about, well, how could we actually reduce the amount of kinetic energy in those collisions? The main takeaway from these first 2 days is that we can do this. We can write this code that helps us classify these collisions as high energy or low energy based on the inputs from the sensors. On day 3, the second main piece of this lesson is when we start thinking about, well, how could we reduce that kinetic energy? And a lot of kids are going to say, well, what about using brakes, or what about using like a parachute that slows it down? And so we focus on friction from the brakes or from the surface, and air resistance. Both of those are collisions, and we do a whole lab about these new types of collisions. That's a stations lab, but that's a very quick one. And then that's part 13. And part 14, you discuss this and do some sense making together, and then there's a quick exit ticket for part 15. The main takeaway here is that friction and air resistance are both contact forces that can transfer kinetic energy away from moving objects. All right, so now that we've gone over the lesson overall, let's dig into a few key moments. The first one I want to look at is part 3. This is when students are brainstorming their plan for how they might design some code to do this. They're going to be thinking about the types of sensors they want to use, how they're going to the steps they're going to need to take to code it, what kind of outputs they want. This is a great time to check for confusion because I've had some students that just kind of get lost around this part of the process. You as a teacher, you're going to want to look for creative uses of sensors. You're going to draw out the ideas of using the accelerometer, the slide sensor, the rotary sensor, and you really want to encourage students to think about what are you going to need in the code? Well, they're going to have to use some sort of a conditional, and then they're going to have to test out the sensor to find out what's the range of numbers they're going to get to use for the conditional, and so on. In part 5, this is when students actually start coding, and they're going to want to know what the system is. So I suggest doing a quick physical demonstration of the systems here. Let's take a look at the bottom left graphic here. You'll notice this is the same launcher cart system that we've used in several investigations already. You're going to launch a cart down the track, and it's going to hit a box and push it. All right, now the box is going to be attached to one of 3 different kinds of sensor systems, and students will get a choice. If you take a look on the right, the top one is the accelerometer. It's just going to measure the change in motion as it gets pushed. The one on the bottom left is the slide sensor. I don't know if you can see, but there's a switch pointed down. It's kind of an upside down sensor. As the box passes underneath it, it's going to push that slide sensor, and we can measure how far it pushes it. And on the right, you've got a rotary sensor, and it's attached to a coffee stirrer that is, as it gets pushed, will turn that rotary sensor. So first of all, when you're setting this up, you got to make sure that you understand how they're all used. Demonstrate it for the kids, because you want the kids to select that sensor very quickly. There's also a set of sensor system cards that are going to help them out once they start coding and so on. And I would even recommend using strategic partnerships here. Maybe somebody who's a little more scared of coding, partner with them with somebody who's a little more confident in coding, so they can kind of take each other through this. In part 8, this is on day 2 when the kids are setting up all their calibration. Again, use those sensor system cards. Below me is the back of the accelerometer card, where it gives suggestions for codes, for code blocks, and it tells you where to find those blocks of codes. But you might also consider having a basic coding template that students can access in case they just get really stuck. The time is really short here. It's only 20 minutes of coding on day 2. So if they're not successful, that's okay. But they're going to be reflecting on it and what they could change for next time. If kids are really eager to complete it or be successful, you might want to offer extra time at lunch or after school. I love it when kids really want to keep going beyond what you're requiring in class. All right, part 13 is the stations lab. This is about friction and air resistance. There's 4 stations, but you don't want all of your kids huddled around just 4 stations. So you're going to make 2 sets of them. So you'll have 8 stations overall, but each student is only visiting their set of 4. There's 5 minutes per station, and you've really got to hold to this to have enough time for the other pieces. The problem with limiting it to 5 minutes is that there's at least one station, the data station for my students at least, that is really challenging. And for students to interpret 3 graphs in the course of 5 minutes, that might be a little bit of a stretch. So I recommend prioritizing 1 or 2 graphs. Say, hey, this is the graph I want you to take a look at first. And if you have time, look at the other ones as well. Part 14 comes right after the stations lab. This is when you're discussing as a class, making sense, and you're updating the model here. This is really critical, especially because the next lesson is an assessment. So don't rush this discussion. If it's taking more time, then let it take that time, extend it into the next lesson. You really want to make lots of connections with the station lab that we just completed and make sure that the students really understand this. All right, after this lesson, as I said, there's an assessment coming up next, but now that we know a lot about forces, kinetic energy, mass, speed, peak forces, energy transfer, all that stuff, we're going to ask the students to apply it to a new situation. There's a bicycle with an automatic braking system, and we're going to see how well they can handle that using this information. All right, let's talk about materials. Obviously, there's the stations lab that is day 3, but I'm going to focus right now on the 4 sensor systems for days 1 and 2. You've got to make sure you build these in advance and you test them in advance, because you want to make sure that you understand how they're being used so you can properly explain it to students and serve as a resource for them. So don't just build them, but try coding them. See what the challenges that students are going to face for yourself before you have them do it as well. When the students are doing this, the systems will already be built by you, so they should just be testing their programs, adjusting values in the conditionals. They don't have time to do much else. For the word wall, there are 2 new words for this lesson. It is air resistance and friction, and those are both contact forces that transfer energy away from a moving object. Air resistance is the result of collisions between the object and air particles, and friction is the collision between an object and a surface. We're talking about microscopic particles that bump into one another. All right, posters. Let's start with the one in the middle. This is from day 1. As students finish up their initial brainstorms, we come together as a class and we share our ideas around sensors, core elements for the coding, and the outputs that we want to look for. And then if you take a look on the left, that's an old model from lesson 8. That on the right here, you see that ad is updated using the information we get from our friction and air resistance stations lab. All right, thank you so much for joining me here. Listen, if you've taught this far in the unit, you deserve a real pat on the back. This can be intense, and it's a lot of new ideas with computer science. But if you've gotten this far, you're doing a great job, and I know your kids are loving the investigations and the coding. All right, take care.